Welcome back to The Outsider Edge.
Mhm.
We're the show that really tries to tailor insights just for you, cutting through all that noise to bring some clarity. Have you ever felt that, well, the way traditional organizations are set up, it just feels like they're fighting human nature, like we're constantly trying to force things, when maybe there's a more, I don't know, organic way, a more effective way to collaborate?
Oh, absolutely. It's a common frustration, I think.
Right. Well, you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. And that's exactly what we're digging into for you today. This is the 10th deep dive in Season 2, and we're continuing our journey through Dr. Revere's really quite incredible book, Self-Management, our mission today, to unpack a concept that, honestly, it profoundly challenges conventional wisdom, is Dr. Revere's polycentric system for commitment coordination. It's a real exploration into how organizations can actually function, maybe even thrive, by embracing these more natural principles. So, yeah, let's get into it. This is really crafted for you, the learner, to cut through the overload and gain some hopefully profound insights into self-management. So, to kick us off, let's lay down something foundational, the role of expectations. What exactly does Dr. Revere mean when he talks about natural expectations?
Well, he actually goes back to the Latin roots, which is interesting, expectativa.
Right.
It comes from ex, meaning outward, and specter, which means to contemplate or see.
Okay.
So the core idea is this act of looking outward or looking forward, and that evolves into basically the hope that something will occur.
Okay. Hope. Makes sense.
And he connects this directly to something he calls the axiom of intentional action, which he covers in Chapter 4. Essentially, it says that every single intentional action someone takes, it's done with the anti-expectation. So the before expectation, that ex post, after the action, they'll be better off. They'll achieve greater satisfaction or benefit.
Otherwise, why bother?
Exactly. If that genuine expectation wasn't there, the intention itself would just change. You'd intend to do something else.
Okay. So that's the individual level. How does that scale up?
Well, what's fascinating here is how universally this applies. It holds true for all human relationships, and that definitely includes relationships within organizations. And this leads to what Dr. Revere calls an ineradicable logical deductive conclusion. Basically, any exchange, any collaboration involves intentional action from both sides.
Right. Makes sense.
And crucially, before that exchange happens, both parties expect to be in a state of greater satisfaction afterwards. If they didn't both expect that,
The exchange just wouldn't happen.
Precisely. He calls this fundamental principle win-win natural. It's like the bedrock.
Win-win natural. I like that. So, okay, given this foundational role of these, well, invisible expectations, how do we apply this? Especially to markets and, for our focus today, organizations. How do we actually observe these things if they're internal hopes?
Yeah, that raises the important question, doesn't it? How do we translate these subjective internal expectations into something we can actually see, something observable? And this is where Dr. Revere brings in a key economic distinction, the difference between value and price.
Okay. Value and price.
Value is deeply subjective. It exists inside our heads on a kind of psychological scale of priorities. It's ordinal, first, second, third priority, unique to each person.
Like my own personal ranking of what matters to me right now.
Exactly. But price is cardinal. It's a number. And it's the intersubjective result of all those individual values interacting when they meet in the market.
Okay. So price isn't value, it's the outcome of many values interacting.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting and really dynamic. If value is subjective and it's always shifting because our needs and desires are always evolving,
Then prices can't be static either.
exactly. Prices become this dynamic, pretty faithful indicator of those constantly changing individual expectations and valuations. When our needs shift, our valuations shift, and that ripples through to alter the price.
It's like a continuous real-time feedback loop.
That's a great way to put it. And this is how the free market, through this price mechanism, allows a spontaneous, self-regulated order to emerge. You don't need a central planner dictating things. Individuals are constantly self-learning and self-managing, using these price signals as like reflections of collective expectations.
Wow.
So what Dr. Revere synthesizes here is this really profound link. Natural self-learning happening in the mind gives rise to natural self-management, which happens in organizations, which then in turn gives rise to natural self-regulation, which we see in the market. He lays this out really clearly in Table 5 in the book. You see the object mind, organization, market, their domain thymology, synergasy, catalactics.
Those are some specific terms.
Yeah, basically the study of human action, collaboration, and market exchange. Then what we study, self-learning, self-management, self-regulation, and their dynamics, behavior, commitment, price. And the key is all of this is driven by those dynamic, subjective human expectations.
I can definitely see the flow there.
Yeah.
So building on that, if these foundational expectations are inside our heads, invisible, how do we see their impact? Especially in organizations, Dr. Revere talks about moving from the invisible to the visible. How does that work?
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the idea that even though the underlying psychological stuff, like how we tacitly integrate information to learn or our subjective values, even though that's invisible, their effects become observable through indicators.
Indicators, okay, like what?
Well, think about a kid learning to ride a bike, the internal learning process, invisible, but their success. Observable through their behavior, you see them riding, staying balanced. Or in markets, those individual subjective valuations, can't see them directly. But when people actually exchange goods, we can observe or confirm those underlying valuations through the agreed prices.
Okay, so behavior for learning, prices for markets.
Yeah.
What about organizations?
Right. For organizations, the subjective valuations that lead people to collaborate are invisible. We can't peek inside their heads. But if collaboration does happen, then we can observe or confirm those underlying valuations in the form of commitments, and crucially, the fulfillment of those commitments.
Commitments. So that's the key indicator for collaboration in organizations.
Exactly. Commitments make the invisible expectation to collaborate visible. That's why they're so central to understanding self-management.
Okay, this is clicking. And this naturally leads us to a pretty sharp critique of, well, a lot of traditional management approaches, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dr. Revere points out how these older paradigms, which are still very much around, often tried to manipulate the indicators directly. They try to control prices or force commitments or manage behavior instead of dealing with the underlying natural dynamics causing them.
Yeah, they were treating the symptoms, not the disease, essentially.
Like trying to fix a fever by just, I don't know, smashing the thermometer.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Dr. Revere offers 3 really profound insights about this kind of manipulation. First, the indicator behavior, commitment, price, whatever, it's always a result. It's not the cause of the problem or the inefficiency.
Okay, consequence, not cause.
Second, trying to manipulate that indicator directly usually causes more harm than good. The only exception is if, purely by chance, the manipulation happens to align with those natural principles anyway.
Which seems unlikely if you're ignoring them.
Right. And third, and this is maybe the most crucial insight, there's already a natural dynamic of autonomy at play. A force working towards self-efficiency in all these areas, mind, organization, market. It just needs the right environment, an adequate and suitable environment to actually emerge and flourish. His whole book is about creating that environment at the organizational level.
So trying to control against those natural forces of expectation is basically counterproductive. It just makes things worse in the long run.
Precisely.
Okay. So if manipulating indicators is the wrong way, what's the natural way then? How do we manage commitments within these self-managed organizations, according to Dr. Revere? How do we create that adequate and suitable environment you mentioned?
Well, this leads to the practical question. How can we actually enable commitments to properly reflect and channel those natural expectations we started with? Since commitments are the key indicator in organizations, the requirement is that these individual commitments need to be widely known within the system.
Okay, transparency.
Yeah, visibility. So Dr. Revere outlines 4 essential requirements for these commitments. 1, they have to be articulated as clearly and precisely as possible, no ambiguity.
Makes sense.
2, they must be registered dynamically. Things change, commitments need to reflect that. 3, they have to be available with permanent access for anyone within the self-managed system.
Open access.
And 4, they must be adjustable. People need to be able to change course as their expectations fluctuate.
Right, flexible.
And operationally, he proposes a specific tool to meet all these requirements, a document called the Individual Contribution for Commitment Coordination, the CCC.
The CCC. Okay, that sounds like the core operational piece here. But you mentioned, or rather the outline mentioned something before that, CCAFs.
Yes, good point. Before we fully unpack the CCC, we need to understand a vital component within it, critical achievement factors, or CCAFs.
Critical achievement factors. Okay, what are those exactly?
What's really insightful here is how Dr. Revere positions CCAFs. He says they serve as a kind of bridge.
A bridge. Between what?
Between a distal purpose, Something maybe abstract or far off, like the overall goal and the proximal action, what you actually do day to day.
Yeah.
This bridge helps facilitate focused self-learning towards a commitment. It's not just learning randomly, it's learning focused on achieving the purpose that underlies the commitment.
Okay, so CCAFs link the big picture purpose to the specific actions needed, keeping learning focused.
Exactly. They're the essential elements you need to succeed in your purpose, guiding where you put your attention.
Got it. And he gives a practical way to figure these out, right? Like a step-by-step.
Yes, he outlines a very practical 5-step procedure for identifying and using your CCAFs, always keeping your individual purpose or contribution in mind. First, you identify what factors, internal, external, tangible, intangible, are absolutely essential. If they weren't there, could you achieve your purpose?
Okay, list the essentials.
Second, test criticality. Ask that question directly. If this factor wasn't present, could I still achieve the purpose? If the answer is yes, it's not critical. If it's a definite no, then it is critical.
What about, like, quality? What if I could achieve it, but poorly?
Ah, good nuance. If you could achieve it, but only at a lower quality or performance level than you need or desire, then it's still critical if you're not okay with that lower level.
Okay, makes sense. So identify, test. What's next?
Third, describe. Just briefly write down what each critical factor actually means. A concise sentence. Fourth, score. And this is important. Write the current state of each factor, usually on a 1 to 10 scale. You're not rating importance or priority here, just assessing where is this factor right now.
Assessing the current reality, okay.
And finally, fifth, visualize. He strongly recommends drawing a graphical representation, like the Excel example he gives for Rebecca's CF template in Graphic 19. This visual really helps with awareness and, crucially, with tacit integration, letting it sink in.
Right, seeing it laid out helps you internalize it.
Precisely. This whole process, like Rebecca's example shows, helps you pinpoint exactly where to apply your focal consciousness, your active attention, which then enables your subsidiary consciousness, all that background knowledge and skill, to effectively support your purpose. It connects the dots from purpose to action to success.
Okay, that makes the role of SAFAS really clear. So we understand expectations, commitments as indicators, and CCAFs for focus. Now let's tie it all together with that main tool, the individual contribution for commitment coordination, the CCC document. You said this is different from the overall framework. It's about each person's commitment.
Exactly. The CCC is the living record of each member's individual contribution and commitment within the system. And its real power, I think, is how comprehensively it captures that contribution, which is their purpose, really, and translates it into specific responsibilities, or you could call them generic objectives or activities. And importantly, each responsibility comes with agreed-upon evidence of success. This whole bundle purpose, responsibilities, evidence that constitutes the individual's commitment.
Okay. And it has several sections.
Yes, there are 7 essential sections in the CCC document he proposes. Let's quickly run through the essence of each. 1, general information, just the basics, member details, the review period for this commitment.
Standard stuff.
2, purposes. This outlines all levels of purpose, from the overarching company mission right down to the individual specific purpose that this commitment serves.
Linking individual work to the big picture.
3, critical factors. This is where that CAF reflection goes. Describing them, scoring their current state, keeping that focus sharp. 4, responsibility. This is the core. Here the member lists the generic objectives or activities they commit to, plus key details. Start date, how it was assigned, self-assigned, requested by someone, or shared.
Self-assigned, requested, shared. That's interesting. Shows the interaction.
Yes. Also, confirming its alignment to purpose and, crucially, the evidence of success. How will we know it's done well? It also lists names of others involved, where compliance info lives, report dates. It's a very explicit commitment.
Very thorough. What else?
5, resources. What critical resources does the member need to fulfill this commitment? 6, interaction. This maps out the member's network of cooperation. Who are they committed to? Who is committed to them? Who do they share objectives with? It literally draws their collaboration network.
It's a personal network made visible.
Exactly. And finally, 7, confirmation. Here, the member explicitly confirms their commitment to everything in the document: responsibilities, objectives, success evidence. And they also commit to self-evaluation and peer-to-peer evaluation based on this.
Wow. That covers a lot.
It does. And it's crucial to remember the CCC isn't static. It's dynamic, accessible, and temporary. It needs periodic updates because commitments and expectations are always shifting.
Okay, so the CCC captures individual commitments in detail, but the big question always comes up. How does this scale? How does this work in a large organization, not just a small team? This brings us to the small groups and the polycentric system idea, right?
Yes. And connecting this to the bigger picture, a polycentric system simply means an order with many centers, not just one single center of control at the top.
Many centers, not one hierarchy, okay?
And Dr. Revere argues this reflects the natural reality of how people actually relate in organizations. He suggests a simple exercise in the book.
The one where you list who you work with daily.
That's the one. List the people crucial to your performance. Most people find, he says, that table 6 in the book, where you list them, ends up mostly empty.
Huh. Interesting point. We don't collaborate closely with hundreds of people usually.
That's exactly. The natural reality is we operate in small, interconnected groups, always.
So how does that make self-management scalable, especially for, say, a really big company?
Well, this is where Dr. Revere brings in Ricardo Semler's argument. Semler ran Semco, a large Brazilian company, famously self-managed, with around 5,000 employees.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Simco.
Semler directly tackled this scalability myth. His logic is really elegant, almost deceptively simple. Premise 1. People naturally relate and work in small groups. We just saw that.
Okay.
Premise 2. Small groups are inherently easy to self-manage. Less complexity.
Right.
Premise 3. Any organization, no matter how big, is fundamentally just a network of these small groups.
The network of small groups.
Therefore, the conclusion: any organization can implement self-management regardless of its size. Size isn't the barrier people think it is.
Because it's always managed at the small group level, which then networks together.
Precisely. And that interaction area in the CCC we just discussed, section 6.
Yeah, the network map.
That directly reviews this personal small group network of commitments for each individual. It makes that network visible.
So the CCC data itself shows the polycentric structure.
Exactly. Dr. Revere mentions companies like Morningstar even use custom software to visualize these commitment networks across the whole organization. He includes an example in Graphic 20 showing the connections within just 40 members, and you can already see that polycentric web forming.
So you could map the whole company's commitment network.
You could. And this comprehensive network of individual commitments made visible, dynamic, accessible through tools like the CCC, that is what truly forms the backbone of a self-managed polycentric system. Graphic 21 shows this clearly, the commitment network quadrant. It's this interconnected web of promises and responsibilities that allows for that spontaneous order and highly efficient collaboration without needing a traditional top-down command structure.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a journey we've taken you on there. From the invisible force of natural expectations to the concrete, visible reality of commitments showing up as the indicator, and then the power of small, self-managed groups forming the backbone of these scalable, polycentric organizations. It really does kind of redefine how you think about management.
It really does. What's fascinating here, I think, is the profound philosophical shift it represents. It's moving away from trying to control people's behavior and instead focusing on understanding and fostering environments where this natural self-organization can actually flourish. And the evidence suggests when you do allow that natural autonomy to emerge, you get not just greater efficiency, but also deeper personal satisfaction for everyone involved.
A really compelling vision. So maybe a final provocative thought for you, our listener, to mull over. Consider this. How might clearly articulating your own critical achievement factors and making your personal and professional commitments truly known, even if just to yourself, or maybe a small trusted group, how might that clarity transform your effectiveness and your own sense of purpose?
Powerful question.
Something for you to sit with. Now, join us next time on The Outsider Edge as we wrap up our exploration of Dr. Revere's brilliant self-management book. We'll be digging into the final piece of this puzzle, the tracking system. Environment, purposes, and commitments within the self-management model canvas.